What's up, guys? Mr. Dan here, back again with another review. This time it's of the film Maniac, a Killer, one of the many titles that this film was known by. This was a drive-in movie theater staple in the late 70s. It stars Oliver Reed, Deborah Raffin, Jim Mitchum, and Stuart Whitman. When I think of Stuart Whitman, I think of almost every movie that was made in the 70s. But Jim Mitchum is actually Robert Mitchum's son. Has a lot of his same characteristics, directed by Arnold Kopelson. I got this DVD used, and sometimes when you get used items, you roll the dice. I've gotten some things still in the original plastic for a used price. But in this case, the most horrifying thing about this is it looks like someone took the cover out and had dinner on it and then put it back. By far the most horrifying thing about this film. Anyway, let's get into it. This was kind of a fun one, kind of an oddball movie, kind of a strange one. It's a sort of serial killer, prowler on the loose film that also kind of reminds you of Dirty Harry, because there's he's also an extortionist. He wants money, and it sort of mixes in a little bit with the exploitation, car chase, motorcycle craze of the 70s, and it even has Paul Koslo as the killer. He was in a lot of movies in the early 70s, mid-70s, a lot of motorcycle-type films. He was in Vanishing Point, as a matter of fact. He was in The Omega Man. Good actor. He was in The Losers, I think, the Hells Angels in Vietnam movie. But now, this cover, if you see what's going on in the cover, this is the opening shot of the film. And apparently this was added to kind of sleaze up the movie a little bit for the drive-in movie theater crowd. So it's the only time the killer wears a clown mask in the whole movie. So it very much feels like it was added on. The rest of the film, the Paul Koslo character, who refers to himself as the Wind when he leaves tape recordings behind, is a Native American man who dresses as such. And Jim Mitchum is also part Native American. He will help Oliver Reed, who is a mercenary, track the killer/extortionist. This young lady here does not appear in the film. One of the special features is a drive-in movie theater mode. And I've always wanted to get one of these drive-in movie theater presentations. I know there's one for the Bog, but boy, that movie, yikes, I can't watch that again. But where you can watch it in a drive-in movie theater mode with trailers and the let's go to the lobby and all this added on stuff. This isn't one of those. This is different. So this woman comes on in the beginning and just basically tells you some facts about the film as she's shooting fake suction cup arrows, which then they intercut scenes from the movie of people being shot with real arrows. It's kind of funny. I mean, she gives some good information. And then I think the movie was, from that point on, I only watched like the first 10 minutes of it again in drive-in movie theater mode, but I'm pretty sure it was flipped around. I'm not sure why. Anyway, there's some other extras on here. I didn't really get into them yet, but this is I believe, a Roger Corman produced film. And essentially, you have a man who's kind of a mild-mannered man who does walk around town in a suit and tie and is very unassuming, will kind of take on this other personality, and he starts out by executing someone and then extorting the town. And one thing about this town, it's called Paradise, Arizona. They called it Paradise, but it was hell on earth. In Paradise, Arizona money doesn't talk, it screams. So there's a lot of rich land developers there, the richest among them being Bradford Dillman, who lives in a really cool-looking house, just 70s architecture. He's got saunas and hot tubs and security cameras all over the place. Everybody in this town is corrupt. The police, chief, the mayor. So when they have the first body, they basically just cover it up and decide to hire some outside help. So Oliver Reed and his assistant show up, and Reed is playing an American, and if you didn't know he was a British actor, an English actor, you would not know by his accent. I mean, it's that good. He's really good in this. He's very direct to the point. He basically says, "There's two things you know about me. I got to do it my way." And then Bradford Dillman has to ask, "And what's the second thing? We're going to do this my way." So after their initial meeting, they're getting ready to leave, and a reporter played by Deborah Raffin shows up, and she wants to find out what's going on. So she sticks a microphone in Oliver Reed's face, and it's one of these old school tape recorders with a microphone. He just grabs the microphone and takes it. And then he goes to a bar and he orders 2 drinks because he knows that she's going to follow him and come in and try to read him the riot act. So she kind of calms down a little bit, and they have drinks together, and then she sleeps with him. Or he sleeps with her because he's Oliver Reed. And then that kind of compromises her integrity as a reporter. Eventually, she kind of gets involved with trying to figure out what's going on, and there's a few more killings, and eventually someone is killed during a parade. It's a pretty good sequence. Kind of reminded me of Thanksgiving, of course, which came many, many years later. And at that point, the town elders, they can't hide it. It's out in the open. But let's back up a little bit. First, the Paul Koslo character, he holes up in the mountains. Great scenery in this film. And he wants them to drop in by helicopter some cash. And he's got his escape covered with a series of smoke bombs, and some rope that he has ready where he's going to rappel down the side of the mountain to a waiting dirt bike. Well, he waits until the helicopter is on its emergency fuel, and then he gives them the signal, and they drop the cash where he wants. And then they chase him, and Oliver Reed is in charge of this whole posse of guys in pickup trucks, motorbikes, and they chase after him, and it's a pretty good scene, pretty good chase scene, and he gets away. And Oliver Reed also learns that he's been betrayed by the Bradford Dillman character, and they have some words. And then a few more people get killed, mostly with crossbows. We do get to see the apartment that this Paul Koslo character lives in, and he's basically got an arsenal. He's got all kinds of firearms. He's got grenades, which he then uses after he executes someone at the parade. He's throwing grenades at the police officers that are chasing him. Pretty good action sequences. And it basically just... and at one point, Oliver Reed says, "I need a tracker, someone who knows the land." So this Jim Mitchum character is kind of like the town troublemaker. Everyone knows him, and he's cool with the police, but he gets picked up for something, so he's spending a night in jail. So he becomes his sort of assistant tracker. They butt heads at the beginning, and then they sort of become friendly. That's actually one of the cooler parts of the film, the relationship that they have. And there's the question of whether these crooked town elders are actually even going to pay up at all. Oliver Reed is trying to get a payday out of this, so it's a pretty good movie. This guy is ruthless. I mean, he will just sneak up on you and execute you, and he picks some people at random. Very much reminded me of the Scorpio Killer from Dirty Harry. It's just a great 70s movie. Oliver Reed, Bradford Dillman's mustache, Paul Koslo, motorbikes, stunts. Now, when during the parade scene, one of the participants in the parade has this cool convertible, so he decides to join in. And of course, this is the kind of town where everyone's armed, so he's chasing the bad guy and shooting. His girlfriend or wife is in the passenger seat, screaming her head off the whole time. Oh my God, it gets annoying. And the reporter jumps in there too. And of course, you have to have a car that hits another car and somehow becomes airborne. They always hide, they would usually hide a ramp on one side of a car and do a stunt like that. And then there's another scene where a grenade is thrown into a car and it explodes, but then the car runs off of a cliff, and it seems to be none the worse for wear. Of course, when it hits the bottom, it explodes again. So pretty good stunts overall. It's just a pretty entertaining film, to be honest with you. If you want a snapshot of the 70s, like a good 70s drive-in movie, you could do a lot worse than this one. I enjoyed it. What are your thoughts on this? Are you familiar with any of these actors? What are your thoughts on Oliver Reed or Stuart Whitman? Deborah Raffin was in a really good made-for-TV movie called Willa, about a woman who, a truck stop waitress who wants to be a truck driver. and she's trained by John Amos. It's like a very wholesome family movie. I believe she passed away somewhat young, unfortunately. And Jim Mitchum really has that sort of laid back demeanor about him that does remind you of his father. He's good. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. This was fun. It's kind of a strange movie, like a mashup of many genres, as I said, but I enjoyed it. What are your thoughts, guys? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you next time.